Hi friends, let's start today's analysis. I think a very good day for Indian traders today as the market was pretty well in terms of Nifty and Bank Nifty. Yes, we had some pain on the broader index. The small cap index at one point of time was around 4% down, and mid cap also was around 2% down, but they smartly recovered at least 50% to a certain extent. Mid cap Nifty, in fact, came in green also for some time. Then again, in the last hour, there was a selling, and probably they all mid cap index and the small cap index closed in red. So there was some domestic news due to which the trigger was done, and we saw a rally in the markets. But before we come to the Indian markets, let's just take a slight sniff on the international global market. So after yesterday's discussion, which we had on the DeepSeek, we had a fall of around 17% on Nvidia, which is one of the biggest tech stock in Nasdaq, and around $600 billion of market cap was wiped out in a single day in Nvidia. Following the trend, there were the other tech stocks which were sellers as well. We had selling in uh, Microsoft, followed by Google, etc., etc. All these, even Meta also was falling yesterday, and all the semiconductor-based uh, the stocks, they all were under selling pressure. This one Nasdaq closed around 3% down, but we had a very smart rally in the Dow Jones. So during the market close yesterday, we were around 400 points down on the futures of Dow. But on the contrary, we had a good session wherein all the losses were not only covered, but the Dow Jones closed on a day's high at around 330 points above. So this gave Edges Nifty a slight edge, and we were trading around 120 points in green before the start of the market. We had yesterday in IT stocks selling in many markets, not only in US. So we had selling yesterday in Nikkei as well, which is Japanese markets. We saw in Germany and European markets will sell off in the IT stocks. In fact, Australian index also we saw a big sell off yesterday on the IT stocks. So this was all due to a trigger on the DeepSeek. But if you see the US session, apart from these tech dominated stocks and the semiconductor based stocks, we had a good session. In fact, Dow, as I told, it closed on days high, and others also the market breadth was pretty good. In fact, if you talk about S&P 500, yesterday 300 stocks closed in green. So there was a specified sector specific selling, and which was well captured by the market, and market was not looking anything panic. Yes, at the starting, US VIX was above around 40%, but in fact it closed also around 18-20% higher VIX. But it the 50% of the VIX was covered during the trading days, during trading time in the US. So US, we can say it was not a bad session. There was a sector specific issue, there was a sector specific news on which the markets reacted accordingly. So that's one part. We cannot say that US markets are looking weak as of now, but as I told that it's looking like they have topped out. So S&P probably and Nasdaq probably, apart from that news of corporate tax cut, looks like it has topped out. Another thing which happened in US was related to Brazil. So Brazil also faced a similar issue like they was facing in Colombia. Their people who were the immigrants were being sent, they were handcuffed, and probably they were not treated well. It was told that, in fact, with Colombia aircraft also, there was no light, there was no power, they were not given water, the AC was not working. So, in fact, his Brazilian ambassador was also called, and then he was also given a bashing. So, not a good thing as well as Brazil also, but anything did not come out in terms of sanctions and all. But they all raised concerns about the treatment, the way the people are being sent from US. Mr. Trump yesterday has announced that he'll be putting sanctions on imports of metals like aluminium, copper, steel, also foreign pharma, and one or two sectors more. He didn't give any date, and he didn't tell that it is very urgent or it is happening on first PAV or very, in a very near time. But in the days to come, that will happen. That's what he indicated. So because of that, the dollar index today was around 107.8. It was touching higher by zero point 0.5 points, around 0.6% above, and slight inch above in the bond yields as well, which are trading around 4.52. But not to worry. Anyways, these are all. We have seen that sanctions will now play a very small role in how the markets will move, because people have now realized that these are probably deal making mechanisms rather than real serious threats. So markets are reacting to it. They go up and down, but in a broader run, I think people, it will not be reacting on that. Yesterday, one thing good happened that the crude went down, so we were closing below $77. Today also we are trading around $77. So it has cooled off from around $84 to $77. That's a good news. So if it although our rupee again was lower by around 17 paisa, the rupee continues to be weak. The reason was it was really overvalued by 8%, and that is why it is giving that incremental gain, which was overvalued. So it's slowly giving up. So when the dollar index is strong, it's rupee strengthens very less. But when it's So when the dollar index is strong, rupee weakens more. When the dollar index is weaker, it strengthens less. That is how slowly it is trying to gain parity on the overvaluedness which it had. So what I now think is that what we were continuously eyeing in terms of dollar index, rupee, and Brent crude and all those things, probably we can take some time off these indexes. I don't think now these are looking very important. So we'll shift our focus not from these things. I don't think they will play a very important role in the near future. If something drastic happens, yes, we have to wait and see, especially on 1st February when Trump has announced that he'll be putting first sanctions on Canada, Mexico by around 25%, China 10%. That time, dollar index, yes, it may move up and down drastically, but as of now, it is looking like it should settle down here if at all serious things don't happen on sanctions front. So this was from the US. China, DeepSeek, yesterday it made a lot of stories and a lot of news here and there. Everybody was worried about it. So DeepSeek is only, it's a small startup firm which has been created by a hedge fund manager, and he's only 23 years of age. And this particular software that is made, it's been uploaded now on Play Store. You can download it. Although because of a huge rush, the new registrations have been stopped. And within few days of launch of this app, it has become the most widely searched and downloaded app in 3 countries now: China, US, and one country in Europe. I don't remember the name, but it has already reached to that kind of levels. Now, also one or two things more happened with this DeepSeek thing. Yesterday was cyber attacks on this particular app, and that is why they temporarily close the registrations. So you can download the app now, but I don't think they allow you to do registration. There was another news on DeepSeek. Now the problem is that this particular app has been made by very less powerful semiconductors. So the entire semiconductor race which was happening, that will probably take a relook. I will not say that it will be turned down or there will be a U-turn. I cannot say that. It's very early to say. But there will be a relook on that. And that's why we are seeing all these stocks being battered down very brutally. Even in India also, if you see Newgen Software, a company in India which manufactures or which helps in NVIDIA manufacturing, Dixon is facing issues, Keynes Technology is facing issues. So all these stocks which are related to semiconductors, they are facing big problems. The very tug of war which is happening between China and America related to Taiwan. China produces almost 70% of world semiconductor devices. So that is why US did not want China to take over Taiwan, because US also, what he has done is they did not wanted China to come up with the technology, giving them gains. So they have put a lot of sanctions on Chinese in terms of these imports, and other companies giving them support in terms of these semiconductors. That is why they were very eager to take on Taiwan, so that it becomes a counterpart, or let's say a opposition kind of a force for US to not to grow. But now, if at all these semiconductor devices, if at all DeepSeek model, it becomes good and it comes out to be a good technological, game changer, then those kind of need for high conductor speed devices, etc., will go down. So probably some people will say, or yesterday some people who track these countries closely are saying that US may lose the hold on Taiwan. So as of now, China was behind Taiwan and US was opposing it, but probably now that opposition may slightly, start loosening up, if at all DeepSeek proves out to be a good model going ahead. Anyways, Taiwan markets are closed. They are celebrating the New Year, so we don't know how it will react when it opens. But I think it will be in red only. So that is what things on DeepSeek. Now, if you see, I was seeing some data in terms of technologies. So I was comparing last 20 years. So if you see in last 15-20 years, China in US was leading in terms of around 50-52 technologies around the world out of 60, and China was 7 out of 60. In today's scenario, if you see now, US is leading in only 6 technologies, and China is leading in 51 or 52 technologies. So it has been a complete U-turn. That is how China has grown. And even after a lot of sanctions on US on these technologies things, they could not stop China. That is how they become great. That is how a country can grow such a large extent. So the sanctions and all, they all become temporary. These kind of countries and the manpower that they have, they can do wonders. So that was on the China part. Now we come on to India part. So the biggest news, apart from results, which are coming pretty tepid, I would say. Yesterday we had Coal India and other results. They were Tata Steel. So the results are better than expectation. That's why they're not closing deep red. But again, there is a fall in profit on YY basis, Q and Q also, and YY basis, which is not a good news, because if you are dropping your profits in terms of YY, then probably that earnings of the overall Nifty goes down, and that is how it has to show on the overall Nifty level. So that was not a good news. Although we had a very higher base in the last year's quarter, which is probably causing this blip. In fact, next quarter also probably the base is slightly higher, so we'll find some issues there as well. After that, the election quarter and beyond that, there we have very low bases, and we'll see good results, or the earnings are going up and all those things in the next quarter. I think Q1 of H1 onwards, we'll start seeing those changes. So these are the results, and if we see on the other news, which actually became a game changer today, was the RBI news. So what RBI has told us that they want to infuse around 1.5 lakh crores of liquidity into the system, and the way they have chosen is by 3 methods. So one was VRR, which they announced previously only 7 days back, which is variable repo rate, which means that you can take loans from RBI or take money from RBI even lower than the repo rate set. So you can get the money even lower than repo rate. That is called as variable repo rate. So based on demand supply, you can get that easy money. So that is one way of liquidating. That's around 50,000 crores they want to infuse. 60,000 crores they will infuse in 3 tranches, in three chances they will do it. Probably that will start from 7th February onwards, first level of liquidity, wherein they will purchase bonds from the banks or government securities, which is another way of infusing liquidity. So that's the second part. They will infuse around 60,000 crores on that. And another liquidity infusion will happen through dollar and rupee swaps. That is another, I think, 10-15,000 crores, which will be infused into the system. Overall, and there are 1 or 2 methods more. Overall, there will be a liquidity-driven mechanism of around 1.5 lakh crores into the system. The balance sheets of the overall banking are showing that there might be a stress in liquidity up to a tune of around 2.5 lakh crores, which means that in March also, some kind of liquidity driven mechanisms will have to be planned by RBI if the liquidity remains tight and in those levels. So now what the message this governor is trying to give us? He's trying to say that I don't want growth. I want to infuse liquidity. I am less worried on inflation, and we want a pro-growth kind of formulas, or let's say principles into the system. That is how we have started. And now the rate cut in February policy, which is 7 policy, is looking very, very imminent. And that's the reason why today you saw a surge in the property-driven stocks and banking stocks anyways. So this has happened due to RBI. That was one thing. Let's not forget that in the last MPC policy, Mr. Das, the previous RBI governor, has already given us a gift of 0.5 percentage cut on the CR. So that is again will help the banks, and it will bring liquidity to the system. So a lot of things have been done for the banks for liquidation, and that's why I say that banks have probably formed their bottom on 47,900, which they formed in January series. I don't think, or there'll be a lot of effort required now to break those levels, because there is a lot of good news. The results have come pretty good. If we talk about ICICI Bank, let's say Kotak Bank, SDFC Bank, even the government banks are giving good results. We just wait for SBI and PNB, other banks to show up. Slight, discouragement in terms of small banks, small private sector banks, but there are small banks to overall impact the Bank Nifty. The Bank Nifty is governed by these 5-6 stocks, which is Axis Bank, ICICI, SDFC, SBI. So these banks have given good results. Now the liquidation is starting into the system, which means the RBI governor again wants the credit growth to grow, which was slightly reduced from 15% to around 11-12%. And we will see probably good things in the budget as well. So combine all those things, I probably don't see that the bank nifty levels of lower levels of 47,900 should be broken. And I will not be surprised if at all in February and March if the MPC policy and budget comes good and the government spending and capex continues to be good in the budget and actually on ground. Probably we'll see in February, March all-time highs of Nifty Bank. There is no stoppage. There is no hitch up actually to reach those levels because they're looking good. They've given good results last quarter also. In this quarter, the results have been pretty decent. And with all these kinds of rate cuts and other liquidation methods, I think probably they're looking for a good run from here. So that is on the banks. Nifty will face a problem in terms of only what I see is IT index. That could be a slightly game changer. That's the only index which looks not promising as of now. FMCG will continue to do good, I think so. The budget will bring in something which will help the consumption to grow. Sitharaman ji has met many industry leaders and she have realized, and the government also realized now, that there is a need for that urban consumption and the overall consumption to go up. So I think that has been taken care of and probably it will be taken care probably in this budget as well. Nifty Auto will look good because of the this rate cuts which come in, and we are seeing a good rural growth anyway. So two-wheeler should do well. And the way we are seeing the stocks of Maruti and all, it looks like probably four-wheelers also, the decent growth would continue. So I think Auto would have been formed at bottom. Probably that should also lead the index now from here on. And Nifty Bank anyways is looking good. So Nifty Pharma will be a problem because yesterday what Mr. Trump has announced that he wants to put sanctions on foreign pharma. Apart from those metals and all, he has named the term as foreign pharma. So the companies which are purely export driven, which do not have plants in USA, they will have these twin problems. The sanctions will put up, and they will also not enjoy those corporate tax cuts whenever they happen in US because they're manufacturing in India. They're not manufacturing in US. So those two disadvantages will remain with the companies where, which is being purely export driven and all the manufacturing is happening only in India. So that's the reason why pharma index was down around 2.5% today. Anyway, pharma has very less weightage on the index, but still, it's an important stock story, and that overhang will still remain. So pharma will continue to, I would say, underperform. If not, they will not lead the rally now. It will continue to underperform because of this rhetorics. Apart from that, Nifty is looking pretty good from here. I don't think that the lows of 22,800 which we have formed should be broken. It looks strong, but again, we are very close to the lower range, so it's very difficult to say. One global news here and there probably can, demolish the entire structure of the gains which you are doing. Because anyway, system there are a lot of shorts. Today, I think shorts would have been covered to a certain extent. There was a good rally. Agar today Sensex expiry would not have been there, we would have closed even higher. But because Sensex expiry and they wanted to punish the retailers as usual, so in last 1 hour they brought those lot of volatility, and suddenly when the index was 300 points up, we saw a gain of around 200 to 50 points, and so those all things happened because they happen on expiry day. But I would think that market should not be discouraged from here. Even the Q3 earnings, if you see overall, which I said briefly yesterday also, they're looking good. The market is expecting around 50% growth in earnings. The consensus is that we should get around 12-13% anyways. And if some companies surprise, we might reach 13-14%. So probably those earnings are also at least coming better than the Q2 results. And Q4 anyways, the market is expecting good results, Q4 onwards. Probably one thing because of the weaker base and also the changes that have happened now with the government spending slightly again coming back to the fore. So that's the part on the Nifty and other things. IT index I will not say that it will be a very big dragger because again there are tailwinds for IT sector. And first thing is anyways the rupee is still weak. It is still weakening, and also with Trump coming in, he will not like the stock market to go down. He's very market friendly, and he will also not like the corporate sector to go down. So if that happens, and we already seen the banking results, etc., came good in US. If those things continue, I think, and anyways, our IT companies are not into semiconductor companies or majorly into AI-driven business and all. So probably, I think these businesses should continue to do well. May not be as sparkling as they've done in 2024. They may remain sideways, which I've been maintaining for quite a bit now. They would remain sideways. Anyway, the valuations are quite high for IT companies now with the kind of results they're giving. I'm not saying that they're trading, well below or well above their average valuation, but considering the growth which they are giving, if you even see the last quarter or this quarter, the results have been okay. Okay, it's better than the market expectations, but we are not seeing a big volume growth in terms of revenue. So that will again continue to happen. So we'll not see a big downside in IT stocks, but probably we'll not see a big up swing also in IT stocks. So IT index should remain pretty sideways from here on. So overall, I would say, and the biggest thing which happened was on the broader index, which was badly, it was brutal today. I think it was deep red when the indexes were doing good around 4 to 5% in red in small caps, and probably mid cap index also was around 2% down. See what is happening in these companies in these companies now is, so I don't think now the retail is selling because retailers are already into loss. Their portfolio is already into red, and retailers are not people who will sell their stocks in red. They will just not hold on to it. They will not do a new buying, but they will not. They are not the persons who will sell these stocks in red now. And any person who would have bought these stocks in 2024, even January also, probably most of the stocks are now in red. So it's now the selling which is coming from the promoters. Now, why the promoters are selling? So the game which happens in stock markets, which we call as Dhanli, which is what some of the market players will join hand with the promoters, and they will try to reach or try to make their stocks look bigger and bigger. So they will try to artificially take their stocks above by infusing liquidity, and the liquidity comes from bank loans or the easy loans which are coming for taking these prices above. So RBI also had they've stopped or they have regulated a lot of unsecured loans, and they are trying to put in the liquidity crunch also, which is why now these promoters are not able to hold on to their stocks, and that is where the selling is coming in. So the players who are doing some kind of a hip hop in the stock markets by artificially keeping those stocks higher and now giving up, they're not able to hold now, and that is intense selling which is coming up. That is one part. Second, probably the family offices, because the mark to market is looking red, those are also selling off, and we might have some selling from HNIs also because they're trying to grow profit, so they're slightly worried. And that is what everybody wanted. That is what the big players wanted. That these groups which have been, taking these stocks higher and higher because of lesser liquidity into the stocks, they have now been ruptured, and this will give a very strong base to the stock markets. The froth which was there, which will slightly erode away, and it will bring a lot of sanity to the market, which is coming now. They will come to the realistic P's, they'll come to the realistic valuations, and all those hopes and things will start settling down. So that's a good thing for the markets. Till when it will continue, it's very difficult to say, but probably it's quite close. Today also, I think if at all this news would not have come from RBI and other things, probably would have seen the capitulation today itself, and probably it would have been faded off. But since the recovery happened in midday, so I don't know, probably one more capitulation might happen, but probably we might be closer from here. But it will not be that we'll have a good run from here now, because now people will be cautious. Those people have already burned their fingers. Yes, these stocks have just changed hands. It's not that those kind of players have gone away. They've just changed hands. So other players who have come into the market now, the sellers and the buyers, so the buyers now who have entered, they also might be playing this game, but let's see how it happens. As of now, broader markets look slightly more pain because of these sellings of these particular groups. But as of now, in terms of Nifty and Bank Nifty and other IT stocks and large cap stocks, the market looks pretty decent. I don't think we should touch the lows of 22,800 and 47,900 on the Bank Nifty. So I think we should remain long on the markets, and probably on the especially on the Bank Nifty, I'm pretty sure that we'll see an all-time high in February or March. So that's what the entire analysis for the day and on the stock markets of global and India. So thanks so much for watching. Thank you so much.